Oh, hey, Jordan. Everybody knows that I'm a Raiders fan. And in a game like this, well, I should be a Bengals stan. But I'm gonna troll you now, cause that's the kind of friend I am. And maybe it's part of a master plan. Cause the Chiefs are gonna tomahawk chop your season away. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Gonna leave you crying in your skyline chilly today. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause everything that you have loved will sure come crashing down. The Chiefs are gonna barbecue some Bengal in their town.
I don't know who that guy was, but boy, is he talented and good looking.
Yeah.
He's
That's my
Skubie
favorite
Mageza.
part.
I'm Jason Fitz. Playoff Tailgate delivered by Pizza Hut. I've been trolling Jordan Cornette, who works at ESPN, every week during the playoffs. It started because I'm a Raiders fan, so I made a little trash-talking song. Now every week he requests one. I think, Skubie, if the Bengals win today, it's obviously because my trash-talking, which means I should take up like a donation plate for the Super Bowl. Like, I'm obviously the X Factor.
It's like the reverse psychology factor, right? You're just motivating them to play better. I see what you're doing, Fitz, and I'm picking up what you're putting down.
What nobody needed to see was me writing that in the shower, like bouncing around like a Muppet, trying to find my voice memo on my phone. Skubie Mageza, Jason Fitz. All right, we are going to, for the next 30 minutes, spend a ton of time previewing today's games. That is the crux of what we are going to talk about. But now that I said that, there's a little bit of Brady news. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. It seems like some
greatest
quarterback
of all time.
Tom Brady expected to retire from the NFL, originally reported by Adam Schefter, Jeff Darlington. Skubie, for anybody that doesn't know, lifelong diehard Patriots fan, you've seen the greatness of Brady up close and personal. So wanted to give you a little platform to talk about that.
Yeah, for anybody that's 30 years or younger, you have not known football without Tom Brady. The greatest of all time. I mean, 243 games won. The majority of the time, Tom Brady was more likely to play in the Super Bowl than an NBA player was to hit a free throw or a three-point shot.
Golly.
Because he was just so dominant in the time that he played. So it was an honor to see him play in person because I covered the Patriots for some time, starting off earlier in my career. And when you think about memories, something that I'll never forget with Tom Brady is that comeback against the Falcons in the Super Bowl, 28-3. I'll never forget how much of a roller coaster night that was, but I always kept the faith. And I think Tom Brady, that win right there, reminded people that it's never over until it's over.
I always think back, when I was a kid, I went to Old Foxborough for a game once, pre-Brady, empty, terrible football team. We forget that there was a whole era of the Patriots where they were just flat out bad, right? Like Brady, much like Peyton Manning changed the way the Colts will be seen forever. I know the Patriots had some success, but Brady and Belichick together really created a change about the way we see a brand. A really incredible thing. I just want him now, today's a great day when he comes out and makes it all official through his own voice to admit that it was a fumble and there's no such thing as a tuck. That's all.
He's still complaining about that, but it's all good. Without that rule, maybe we wouldn't have the Tom Brady that we know and love today as a Raiders fan. I know you want to say that, but it's going to be interesting to see who's going to replace him, and I got something to say for that later on, so y'all make sure you stay tuned in for my spicy take.
We'll get into that in a minute, but first, let's get into these games, and there's a theme to it. We're calling it Run It Back, right? Why? Because these two teams all four teams, I should say, have faced each other throughout the course of the season. It's not that long ago that the Bengals Chiefs gave us one of the most entertaining games we saw all season. If you're into Madden-like offensive explosion, we saw it, particularly Jamar Chase, who was playing a video game in real time as the Bengals pulled off the 34-31 win over Kansas City.
Man, when you talk about wide receivers blowing up and having an all-time game, this was it. Jamar Chase, just look at those stats. It is Madden-like, Fitz. And what are we going to see this time when they match up? Because the Bengals played zone 73% of Mahomes dropbacks. That's the second highest this season. And Mahomes, throughout this year, weeks 1 through 9, 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions with the zone. stepped it up ever since week 10. Now he's had 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. His QB rank is 3rd versus it being 18th at that time. So I'm curious to see how the Bengals will approach the zone defense against Mahomes, because they found success with it last time, and you're going to have to be able to do something different on defense with Jamar Chase torching you.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting for the Bengals and how they approach Mahomes, because they just don't have the speed in the secondary to match up with these wide receivers. So I feel like they have to play a lot of zone. But to your point, Mahomes has become so much more patient, as we've talked about on every broadcast across ESPN, that it's forced people to take the underneath stuff more seriously. Now that you're taking the underneath stuff more seriously, it's opening stuff up that's deeper. So there's this moment for Mahomes that he's been so evasive and so good at getting out of the rush and creating extra time. And then he's got speed demons that are killing everybody. So this is a really efficient Kansas City offense that's scoring a ton of points, taking on a Bengals team that 2 weeks in a row has been murdered on the offensive line, but has managed to win. And I appreciate their ability to win ugly football games, but at the same time, they've got to score points. Now, the blessing for them is that Kansas City's defensive line is nowhere near as good as the Titans or Raiders were the last 2 weeks.
Especially the Titans front four.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous. But you got to remember that Joe Burrow was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL, sacked 51 times, and he's used to getting hit. But the Chiefs defense and Chris Jones has come out and said, we know that Joe Burrow will not get flustered. He will not get rattled by us hitting him. He's going to sit in the pocket, and he's going to make the throws that he has to make. And this defense is going to have to step up, this Chiefs defense. They're the only team in the Super Bowl era to give up 2 200-yard receiving games and 3 touchdown wide receivers in the same season. No other defense has done that in the same season. They've done it twice now this year, and you're going to go against an offense that has some playmaking receivers.
Yeah. Well, and what are they going to do with their running back? Keep him back to chip or keep him spreading him out wide? Because that works for the yards. The other game, 49ers at Rams, I will say this until I am blue in the face all day. The next time the Rams beat Jimmy Garoppolo will be the first time the Rams have beaten Jimmy Garoppolo. When you say 6 straight, 4 times as an underdog, every single time we think the 49ers can't keep up with the Rams, all they do is win, win, win no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never give it up.
But it is so true. And reporters actually asked Sean McVay earlier this week, is Kyle Shanahan in your head? And he had to really answer that question, because you were defeated against this guy. And when you look back to their Week 10 matchup, OBJ's first game in LA, and the 49ers had a healthy Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel. That was really when he was starting to cook up even more. They were getting him involved within the running game, and he was passing. It is ridiculous what he's been able to do this team, and he's grown more and more as each week has come.
Well, but I think the Week 18 matchup's even more significant because remember, the Rams could have gotten themselves out of this situation.
Yes.
They beat the 49ers. 49ers aren't even here, but they didn't do it. They couldn't do it. They never can do it. And I can't understand why. There's a moment here, and I love this stat. Aaron Donald, 0 sacks on 50 pass rush snaps versus San Francisco this season.
How?
When you start talking about Kyle Shanahan, what makes Kyle Shanahan great with this offense is that they run the ball in interesting ways. So from formation, you don't know if they're going to run or pass. They move around so much. They force the defensive line to really be shifting left and right to figure out how to keep up with what they're doing.
And look at those 2 names on the left right there, Jennings and Ayuk.
Yep.
Big games, career games from those 2, and the game finished in overtime, mind you. So those guys basically were inexistent when they were against the Packers. So you kind of wonder, is this going to be the week that they show up again? Because they will be X factors in this game as well.
I feel like there's a part of me, though, that says, man, strength on weakness is something we talk about all the time. Strength on strength. Well, this is one of those rare situations where what the Rams do well, they cover well, all right, and they get after the quarterback well. Well, we also know that San Francisco at this point is running the football 57% of the time. Second highest run percentage we've ever seen in the playoffs. So it doesn't matter what the Rams do against the passing game, because San Francisco is going to run it down your throat. It's interesting. This is always the chess match, too. Like, we know what we do well. Now, do we change it a little bit because everybody thinks we're going to do that, or do we just keep doing what we do?
Let me tell you something too. I'm gonna echo what our great colleague Mina Kime says. They ain't there because of Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll tell you that right now. They ain't there because of Jimmy Garoppolo. They got a great special teams. They got a great defense. They got a great offensive line. And speaking of offensive line, Trent Williams. Sheesh. Have you seen some of the pancakes that he be handing out flapjacks with extra syrup and butter on the side for some of those guys who were in his way?
Oh.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, the beef, the mobility of beef is incredible. By the way, if you're watching us, our Twitter live stream has gone down. We have a new link that's up there. So be sure, if you were watching us on Twitter and you're now watching us in the ESPN app or anywhere else, you can get back to us on Twitter. New link is out there. Just go to the ESPN social side. We're going to keep going. All right. In the meantime, I'm from Vegas, so I love to bring in a little bit of Vegas flair. I'm not talking about the Raiders coaching hire. We'll get to that in a minute. No, I'm talking about Super Bowl Roulette, all right? Roulette, by the way, a delight of a game, a little bit of fun. So we figured what we would do is we're gonna spin the wheel. We're gonna get every possible matchup for the Super Bowl, and then one of us will give you a pro for it. One of us will give you a con. So let's start. We're gonna spin the wheel, and the wheel first gives us 49ers versus Bengals. I'll give you a pro out of this matchup, Scooby. The pro is that I love trilogies. Like Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars nerd, right? I love trilogies. Why does that matter for this? Well, let's remember, the Bengals have only gone to the Super Bowl twice. Both times they lost. Both times they lost to the 49ers. So, if the Bengals make the Super Bowl, like if the Bengals win the AFC Championship game, turn off your TV. You know how the NFC Championship game is going to play out. It's got to be the 49ers. They are obviously linked in some universe.
Oh, well, I guess I'll be the one to give you a con. And my con with this is we got to watch Jimmy Garoppolo play quarterback in the Super Bowl again. Do you remember the last time that he played quarterback in the Super Bowl? They were up 20-10 in the fourth quarter against the Kansas City Chiefs with about 11 minutes remaining in the game, and they still lost. Jimmy Garoppolo, his QBR in the fourth quarter was 2.8.
Imagine how much different his legacy would be, though, if he had that blink. All right, let's spin the wheel again and see what we get this time. Oh, this time they give us 49ers versus Chiefs. You want to give us a pro on this one, Scoops?
Well, man, I got to like this one. This is good offense versus good defense. And you see that guy that's on the left side of the screen? Bosa going against playmakers like Travis Kelce, and that front five and that linebacker core of the 49ers, they're going to be coming from Mahomes. And you know the best thing to challenge a good quarterback is a great pass rush, and that's what the 49ers have. And we're going to have to see Mahomes in that offense step their play up. That's a pro.
That's a pro, but I'll give you a con. I got to watch the damn Chiefs win another Super Bowl. Like, this is too much for me. Look, to your point, when these two teams played a couple of years ago, they got the absolute magic of the 49ers. Maybe the best you could see the 49ers play. And some of the worst we've seen from Patrick Mahomes. And the Chiefs still won the damn game. Like, as a Raiders fan, I don't want to watch the Chiefs win another Super Bowl. I'm out on this completely.
Yeah, I don't want him to catch up to Tom Brady so early, because then he becomes younger than when Tom Brady played in his third Super Bowl.
The Mahomes hype machine would just make me barf in my mouth. All right, let's spin the wheel again and see what they give us this time. Okay, we get Rams and Bengals. I'll give you a pro out of this one. How do you like the teacher versus the student? Like, remember, we made jokes at one point that all you had to do was run the dry cleaning at some point for Sean McVay, and that meant you got a head coaching opportunity in the NFL. Well, Zach Taylor comes from that offense. Like, you've got two wonderkins of offensive thinking going after each other when they know each other's tendencies so well. I think that could be interesting. Like, it's a little bit of, Yoda taking on Luke Skywalker.
Going against your sensei.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you surpass your teacher? Well, for me, let me tell you something. There's one reason why this is a con for me, and I want to show you guys this Bengals super fan. If he sees his team play and win, we got to deal with this.
Yeah, we're not ready for this. This is Jordan Cornette going nuts, and we've got it here. And look at the reaction. Now, I got to respect him. Look, he's still got the tie on. Also,
still working.
Yeah, still working. Running like an idiot.
Who wants to be in the same room as him when they end up playing in the Super Bowl. I got to deal with that again. We got to deal with that again. That's the only con for me when it comes down to
the one thing we got to remember, though, that might be the most cardio that Cornette's done in a minute. Oh, throwing shade. Let's spin it one more time. See what we get. Oh, Chiefs versus Rams. Scooby, give me a pro on this.
Big pro on this. Y'all remember that matchup back in 2018 when the Chiefs and the Rams played on prime time? It was like 50-something to 50-something. What a classic that was. It was supposed to be the Super Bowl that we were going to see, but you know who got in the way? My beloved Patriots. That's when they ended up going over there, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. But hey, now that my team is out of contention, let's run it back. Bring that Super Bowl that we were supposed to have in 2018 with these two high-powered teams.
I like that pro, but I'm going to give you a con, all right? And the con is that it'll mean 2 straight games for the Rams in L.A. that we'll have to watch where there are no Rams fans in the stands. Oh, I'm throwing shade everywhere. Look, I want the Rams to have a beautiful, wonderful relationship with the city of L.A., but let's be real. There's a genuine concern that even in the NFC Championship game, they won't be showing up. So we'll see what those fans look like. If there's any one thing that's a con through any of these things, we left out one of the most important cons through this whole process.
I think I'm with you on this one.
We don't want the Chiefs in the Super Bowl for one reason, not my Raiders fandom. It's that we don't want to deal with this anymore. Like, I can't do the Jackson Mahomes thing. Like, what is all of this? I get that I don't get the TikTok dance sensation, but I mean,
you know, if you could dance, it would be different for me. But I don't know what's this, like, bring your shirt up every single time. And look at Mahomes.
Mahomes throwing the one. Like, Patrick Mahomes looks like
I don't know, dude.
Every time I hang out with Gary Streisky and he's making TikTok content, I'm like, what are we doing, Streisky? Streisky is the Jackson Mahomes of ESPN.
Oh, man.
Somebody pissed in my Wheaties today. All right, let's get this. While we're spicy, let's get to some spicy takes delivered by Pizza Hut. I love the opportunity to get some spicy takes delivered by Pizza Hut because we can get some things off our chest. Scooby, give us a spicy take on anything in the NFL.
So we're going to throw some hot sauce on this pizza, like some real spicy hot sauce. And I teased it a little bit at the beginning. Aaron Rodgers is going to the Buccaneers. Now listen to me. This team is ready right now. They're ready to win right now. They've already got that core of players who will know what it takes to win. The thought is that Aaron Rodgers will go to the Broncos and be with his OC, and they've already got a roster over there. And they do have the draft capital, but the Buccaneers can work out some type of deal. They can have Rodgers restructure his contract to a 2-year contract, send the Packers some first-round draft picks, maybe a player here and there, because they got some great players on their roster. You bring him over, he can fill in that void of Tom Brady real soon. And let me tell you, it feels real nice to play in Tampa than it does in Green Bay.
Oh, man, I like that. By the way, you can leave your spicy takes in the comments, so you can give us your spicy hot takes. I'm going to throw a little Frank's Red Hot on my Pizza Hut. I like my pizza cheese, so a little hot sauce goes a long way. Mine is for every fan base right now out there trying to figure out if your team has hired the right guy as your new head coach. The answer is you have no idea.
Nope.
Look, Josh McDaniels is now, according to reports, going to be the new head coach of my beloved Raiders. And everybody asking, what do you think? Hell if I know. Hell if any of us know. Because if you go back and look at the ESPN.com rankings, we get it wrong all the time. The year that Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl as the head coach for the Eagles, I went back that year and I looked at the year he was hired. He was ranked by everybody as the worst of the head coach hirings, and everybody else in that coaching cycle had been fired. The fact is, second-time head coaches work out sometimes. Sometimes they don't. New head coaches work out sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Young coaches work out sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Old coaches work out. Sometimes they don't. That's the theme. Realistically, here's what you got to hope. You got to hope that the owner of your favorite football team heard something in that meeting that he says, this guy has the direction and the passion and can be the CEO my team needs. And you're not going to have an answer for that for years. So for today, be positive, because what's the point otherwise? At some point, you got to enjoy the process. Today is a day for everybody that's hired a new coach to be positive about the process.
That is facts. And Josh McDaniels, I like them hire, brother. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to win. He's coming from a winning organization. So you can only hope you can get a taste of what we did in New England.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I'll take a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of what you did in New England. But in order to be great, not only, do the Patriots know how to be great, sometimes you just got to be a great athlete, better than everybody else on the field, like this kid. That's a level of playmaker, by the way. That's what it looks like here on campus at ESPN Radio on the weekends, because Christine Lisi makes the best cookies you've ever had in your life, and everybody just stiff arms each other. It's a limited number of them. That's all you can get. I want that kid's energy.
I mean, talk about Derrick Henry's stiff arm. Just get out of my way, sir. Gotta love it.
Well, he's an offensive playmaker, and that brings us to our X Factors. Who's going to be the offensive X Factor as we go through all the weapons in all of the games today? Now, usually a good countdown is done 5-1. That's impossible, Scooby, in this situation, because there are so many names ahead of us. We can't get into that situation where we leave somebody off.
I know we're going to differ here. We're
going to have some disagreement here. So at the top of the list, like for me, this is who I would put. The one guy that is currently the X factor in everything he does is Debo. Because if you're the 49ers, you know that he's going to be running the football. He's going to be catching the football. He's also going to be forcing the Rams to figure out how to adjust to everything he's doing. I'm putting Debo at the top of my list, but that could come with controversy. How do you feel about that?
I like that you have Debo at the top of your list, but for me, I got to go with Joe Burrow at the top of that list, because that offense cannot function without Joe Burrow sitting there behind the center. I mean, look at what he's done in his second year as quarterback for that team. They're already on the verge of being able to reach a Super Bowl, and this kid is being respected among the Chiefs as somebody who's going to be the next Tom Brady.
Well, and I'll give you that as you see the numbers, especially in the postseason for Burrow, have been absolutely staggering. And I think he's the greatest, but the problem is, I'm just going to move him way down for a second, just for the sake of this conversation. Okay. Because if we're putting somebody in from the Bengals, it's Jamar.
I don't even have him in my top 5 of the offensive X factor, because I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you want to put somebody over Jamar Chase, because I struggled between who I want to put in between this dude and Jamar, I got to put Tyreek Hill, because the Chiefs have won 21 consecutive games when Hill catches a touchdown pass. So that tells you right there, if you have Tyreek Hill playing to the level that he's supposed to play, 9 times out of 10, this team's going to win.
The disagreement is getting savage here, because the only reason Tyreek Hill is doing what he's doing is because he has 7,352 hours every time Patrick Mahomes dropped back. Because the more important element to this, we're just throwing names up here at this point. Mahomes, I'm telling you, Mahomes last week looked like he took a big bath in Crisco and then came out and said, "You can't take me down." Mahomes running everywhere. And what do you do when you've got the fastest receivers out there? And now I'm suddenly looking at this list and I'm saying, what? We're idiots. Where's Cooper Kupp going all of this?
So that's what I would have done. I like the list. You need to take Jamar Chase out and put Cooper Kupp in there. Because in my top 5, I got these guys here. I don't know about the order, but you got to put Cooper Kupp, because Matthew Stafford's success has really been because of this guy. And we saw what he was able to do in the final minute of that game against Tampa Bay. When they needed a play, who did they go to? Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, the most stunning thing about that is, you would think that everybody says, "Hey, let's cover Cooper Kupp," which was the running joke last week. Let's be clear. Everybody knows you need to cover Cooper Kupp. It's just like if we go back to Jamar Chase. I heard Rob Ninkovich this week say, the important thing is that the linebackers for Kansas City need to get hands on Jamar within the first 5 yards to slow down his routes. Cute concept. That's great. You think those guys are going to be able to get hands on him. You think you can cover Cooper Kupp. What's interesting to me, if I look across this list, and again, we haven't necessarily worked out an order, and we still disagree about whether or not Joe Burrow should be in instead of Jamar Chase. But the one thing that stands out to me is I have found myself saying there's so much dynamic talent coming out at wide receiver that maybe the position should be valued less, because you can get a receiver anywhere in the draft. Jamar Chase, is a great example of you go out, you get your guy, but you also have Justin Jefferson. You've got receivers galore that can come in and
LSU
make contributions.
Too. Both guys from LSU.
But now I'm looking at this list and saying, maybe as much as we talk about you have to have a dynamic quarterback to win, maybe you have to have the best of the best at wide receiver to really win a football game today.
And the Chiefs and the Bengals, have one of the best receivers. They have the best receiver core in the NFL. They're ranked second and third in terms of yards after catch. If you're going to try and tackle these guys when they have the ball in their hands, good luck, because they know what to do when they have that ball in their hand. This is a dynamic group of players. I don't know about the order, but
okay,
these
so
are your
what's the order?
X-factors.
What's the order? Who are we putting? I'm putting in Debo as number one personally. But
Okay, you know what? I got Burrow, Debo, Mahomes, Cup, Hill. We'll switch it up.
You got Burrow, Debo,
Yeah.
Mahomes, Cup, and then Hill. That's your order, right?
Yes, sir.
That is totally complete trash.
But
because,
I'll switch you Debo and Joe Burrow. I'll let that go.
yeah, we're at least doing that because, I mean, there's got to be some semblance of. And then Cooper Cup, I'm putting in Cooper Cup. Like, let's go every other. Like, boy, girl. We'll go like receiver, quarterback, receiver, quarterback, receiver. I still don't know how, like, look, I'm just going to be a respectful co-host here and leave Joe Burrow on there. But we all know that if Jamar Chase isn't playing in that game,
man.
I mean, I'm just saying. All right, that is our list. Now, you want to talk about dynamic offensive X factors? All I can say is check this out. That highlight needed one thing, a good whoop. Like, I steal it from Berman all the time. Just needed a whoop when she got right around everybody.
Hey, her hips don't lie.
No, I mean, and by the way, I mean, just you can't tackle what you can't touch. You just couldn't get hands on that like that. Well done. All right, playoff tailgate delivered by Pizza Hut, Skubie Mageza, Chase and Fitz. We've still got a few minutes left, and we've got a lot of game to get ready for. So let's start talking about what we're excited about for this one, particularly Scooby. What are you looking forward to the most in the AFC Championship game?
Since we just came off of our offensive X factor, you also got to. I also want to make sure we talk about Evan McPherson, who is one of the best kickers in the NFL. 11 field goals of over 50 yards this season, including playoffs. That's the most by any kicker in NFL history. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these two teams battle out. You know the Bengals aren't going to be rattled. It's going to be a fight. And the Chiefs' offensive line, they've really stepped up their play. This team invested a lot within their offensive line, and since week 8, they're number 1 in pass block win rate and number 1 in run block win rate. And that addition of Jerick McKinnon, who is now showing himself to be a bruiser-type running back, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then you got this Bengals offense, young, gritty, and ready to do that thing. And I don't mean gritty just by being gritty. They also hit the gritty. So that's a number of different things that we can look forward to in this matchup.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, too, because, like, this is the 4th straight AFC Championship game for the Chiefs. You're talking about a level of dominance right now to the conference. It's really special, and it's incredible to see. But there's a youthful ignorance, and I say that with a lot of respect, to the way the Bengals are going about everything.
Yep.
Like, they don't really give a damn about the history of Cincinnati. They don't really give a damn about what we think of their opportunities every week. I said last week they'd have to survive the first 10 minutes on the road. They thrived from the opening play.
They play well on the road.
Like, Arrowhead is going to be interesting, but also I'm not sure anything gets under the skin of Joe Burrow. So I think it's great. The other side of this, though, the other matchup to me has a couple of intriguing things about it, because as much as we keep talking about the Rams and the pressure that's on the Rams because they're playing like it's a video game, they've mortgaged everything in franchise mode to win right now. There's a really interesting part of this to me from the 49ers standpoint. Like, what's going to happen if the 49ers win this game and you've got this awkward moment where Jimmy G's in his 2nd Super Bowl in 3 years, and everybody's like, no, he's not a quarterback of the future.
But he still did something to get them there. And to his credit, we do have to put some respect on Jimmy Garoppolo's name, because you can't just throw on a quarterback back there and be like, hey, what is the Super Bowl? Because you got to be able to know what you're doing. You still got to be able to read the defenses and all those different types of things. And then that matchup, when you talk about the Rams going all in for this year, they got OBJ and Von Miller during the season. Those two guys have been key reasons why they've won particular games.
Yeah, and there were people trashing the Von Miller thing at first because it was like, oh, the Broncos got the best. No, the Rams home run there. And I do think it's interesting. We learned everything we needed to know about the coaching staff and their belief in Trey Lance last week, because in a game where there was no offense happening, and maybe you could make the argument that getting some dynamic running would have helped them, They did not even think about it. So to me, that tells you the 49ers know that Jimmy G can make enough plays and won't make enough mistakes to cost them the game.
But don't be surprised if you see Trey Lance this week.
By design, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
By design,
yes, by design.
All right, so let's get to some picks. We'll start with the AFC Championship game. Scooby, who you got in this one?
Got to go with the Chiefs in this one. The Chiefs are the team that is playing at home. They've been on some type of hot streak. I like what they're doing.
Yeah, I just hate the Chiefs, but they're going to win this football game. Like that, to me, at some point, just being at home matters. The crew has taken the Bengals, and I think that's because the crew wants to make sure that Shay, our usual Shay Cornett, usually with us as our third, Jordan's a big Bengals fan. Let's go to the NFC Championship game. We'll start with you again, Scooby. Who you got in this one?
You know, weeks ago, before we even got to the playoffs, Shay asked all of us, who do we have faith in the NFC? I said, I got the Rams. You said 49ers. I'm going with the Rams still. I got the most faith in them.
Yeah, well, I did say that, but I'm going with the Rams today. Talent wins. Also, my preseason Super Bowl pick was Chiefs-Rams. I just want to be right. The crew agrees with both of us. Yeah, I'm just saying our director was wearing a San Francisco 49ers shirt today, so I don't think that went over well. He's Skubie Mageza. I'm Jason Fitz. This has been Playoff Tailgate delivered by Pizza Hut. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back for the Super Bowl, baby.
Watch football.